You have probably seen a ton of folks out there telling you to jump on the Bitcoin train, right? They're either bragging about their fat stacks from Bitcoin gains or pushing some course on you, promising the secrets to investing in Bitcoin. But today, folks, we're cutting through the noise. I'm here to lay down the real deal about the Bitcoin game, showing you how to keep your wallet tight and your investments right. Because let's face it, Bitcoin's ride has been wider than a bull in a china shop, with its value flipping more than a pancake at a breakfast buffet. And I'm also gonna break down how the system you're living in might just have played you, and why all this madness ties back to Bitcoin. But first, let's slice into what Bitcoin really is and unpack this mystery box called halving that's everyone buzzing about. If the word halving has you scratching your head, chill out and stick with me. I am about to lay it all out. Created by the enigmatic Satoshi Nakamoto, and let's be real, nobody knows if that's a solo act or a whole band of brainiacs. Bitcoin burst onto the scene in 2009, hot on the heels of the 2008 financial meltdown. Coincidence? I think not, and I've got the lowdown on why these two are dance partners in the tango of tech. Fast forward to December 12th, 2010, our mystery man, Satoshi, drops his last public post, fading into the digital ether. He flicked a few more emails into the void after that, with the last known one landing in Gavin Andresen's inbox on April 26, 2011. Satoshi's parting shot to Gavin was all about stepping out from the shadows.
I wish you wouldn't keep talking about me as a mysterious, shadowy figure. The press just turns that into a pirate currency angle. Maybe instead, make it about the open source project and give more credit to your dev contributors. It helps motivate them.
Since then, it's been radio silence from Satoshi, but his brainchild? Oh, it made some noise. Coming up, I dive in headfirst into a blow-by-blow summary of the 12 groundbreaking chapters from his 2008 manifesto called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Stay tuned because we're about to get real. What is Bitcoin? So let's break down the Bitcoin paper for each chapter, and the first one is the introduction. So first off, the abstract of the Bitcoin paper, right? Imagine a world where sending money online doesn't mean having to go through a bank or some big financial gatekeeper. That's Bitcoin, gentlemen. It's like handing over cash directly to someone else. No middleman, no extra fees, just peer-to-peer, like handing over a cold one to your buddy. But here's the quicker. To stop folks from cheating the system, is spending the same Bitcoin twice, there's this genius setup using a network that stamps the time on all transactions. It's like marking your territory, but in the digital world, ensuring everything is on the up and up. And the beauty of it, it's all about the majority rule. As long as the good guys hold on the fort, the system stays solid as a rock. Now rolling into chapter 1, we're hitting the streets of the internet, where buying stuff has always been a bit of a trust game, with banks in the middle making sure no one gets played. But let's face it, that setup has its downsides. Have you ever tried to send some cash and get hit with those fees? Or how about when you're stuck in a dispute over a transaction that feels like it's dragging on forever? That's the old world, brothers. Bitcoin swoops in with a new promise. Let's make transactions that are as final as saying I do. No takebacks. It's all built on this rock solid foundation of math instead of having to trust some suit in an office. This way, when you're dealing, it's just between you and the other guy, no one else. Secure, straightforward, and no BS. Let's dive into the chapter 2 that talks about transactions. Picture Bitcoin as a baton in a relay race, where each runner's signature is required to pass it on. Each transaction is a runner handing off the baton. But here's the twist. How do you ensure the baton hasn't been copied and passed to two runners at once? The old school solution will be having a referee, a trust mint, checking each handoff, but Bitcoin says no refs needed. We're going public with every transaction, making sure everyone knows who's holding the baton, keeping it legit without any central authority. Bam! Chapter 3, Timestamp Server. Enter the timestamp server. The party started. Think of it as taking a selfie of the baton passing moment and putting it up on the blockchain billboard. This creates a chain of these moments one after another, proving that the transaction happened when it said it did. No faking, no takebacks, just a solid line of proof. It's like having a digital notary public on steroids. Alright, the chapter 4 is proof of work. Here's where we put the work in proof of work. It's like a digital mining operation. Here, instead of swimming pickaxes, computers are crunching numbers to find the golden nonce. This process secures the block, locking in transactions by making it tough to alter without redoing all the heavy lifting. It's democracy in action. One CPU, one vote, ensuring that the longest chain of effort wins, keeping the network safe and sound. Let's go to the chapter 5, network. This is the backbone, the workflow of Bitcoin network. New transactions shout out to the network. Blocks get formed, miners mine, and when a block is solved, it's broadcasted. If there's a disagreement on the next block, it's like choosing which party to hit up first. You go with the flow, but keep your options open. It's about building on consensus, with everyone agreeing on the longest chain of blocks as the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The chapter 6 talks about incentive. Who doesn't love rewards? Bitcoin introduces the concept of mining rewards, creating new coins as a thank you for securing the network. It's like being paid to keep the ledger tidy and safe. Over time, these rewards shift from freshly minted coins to transactions fees, ensuring miners stay motivated to maintain network security. It's a win-win. Secure the network and get rewarded for it. The chapter 7 talks about reclaiming disk space. Real estate on the blockchain is precious, so Bitcoin introduces a way to prune old transactions, saving space without losing the sacred chain of custody. It's like trimming the branches of a tree but keeping the trunk intact. This keeps the blockchain lean and mean, ensuring it remains sustainable as it grows. And the chapter 8 of the Bitcoin paper talks about simplified payment verifications, which also could be SPV. Not everyone wants to download the entire blockchain. SPV allows users to check transactions without the full ledger, relying on the trustworthiness of the network's majority. It's a bit like checking the headlines without reading the whole newspaper, keeping you in the loop without the storage headache. Chapter 9, combining and splitting value. Transactions can mix and match puts and outputs, combining smaller amounts or splitting larger ones, making Bitcoin flexible for all kinds of payments. It's like having an exact change every time you need to pay for something down to the last Satoshi. The chapter 10 talks about privacy. Bitcoin transactions are public, but you can keep your identity in the shadows. It's like wearing a mask at a masquerade ball. You can see everyone's moves, but you don't necessarily know who's behind that mask. This level of privacy ensures that while transactions are transparent, personal identity can remain concealed. And the chapter 11 talks about calculations, but I'm not going to show all the math behind this, I'm just going to explain to you. So this section delves into the math, proving that as long as the honest miners control the majority of computing power, the network remains secure. A deep dive into the probabilities that ensure even if someone tries to attack the system, they are more likely to lose out as the honest chain outpaces any fraudulent attempts. And then we're going to the final chapter, chapter 12, which is named as Conclusion. So Satoshi drops the mic with this closing note. He's laid out the blueprint for a world where money moves like an email, smooth and trustless. Imagine a world where your cash doesn't play a game of telephone through banks, but instead zips directly to where it needs to go. No middleman, no extra hands in the pot. That's the vision, and it's as bold as it gets. Here's the deal, we got these digital coins, right? They are like the secret handshakes of the digital world, proving you own what you say you own. But here's the twist. Without a way to stop folks from spending their digital dough twice, it's like having a magic wallet that lets you pay twice with the same dollar. Enter the hero of our story, proof of work. It's like a digital bouncer that keeps the ledger honest. It stamps transactions into a public record that's tougher to alter than carving your name into a diamond. If the good guys hold the majority of the computing power, the record stays as legit as a preacher on Sunday. The beauty of this whole setup, it's as unstructured as a jazz jam session. Nodes or computers in the network. They're like musicians playing their hearts out without a conductor, making music that's as decentralized as it gets. They pop in, play their tunes, in this case validate transactions, and can dip out whenever, only to catch up on the set list when they get back. There's no VIP list, no backstage passes. If you have got CPU power to vote with, you are in the band. And how do they make sure the band plays on? That the system ticks along without a hitch. They vote, not with a show of bands, but with CPU power, digging into those math problems like there's gold in the hills. The consensus on which transactions are legit is like the applause at the end of a killer solo, driving the system forward. Satoshi's closing argument: this whole machine runs on consensus. The rules aren't enforced by some guy with a whistle and a rule book, but by everyone agreeing on what is fair play. It's a self-policing neighborhood watch where everyone is looking out for the block chain. So that was the explanation of the 12th chapter on what Bitcoin is. Now we're going to talk about what halving is. Alright Tim, circle up because we had a big event on the horizon in the world of Bitcoin. Picture this, you have been on a solid gym grind, hitting your workouts, nailing your nutrition, and seeing those results. Now imagine if the gym announced that starting for a certain date, all the gains from your workouts would be tougher to achieve, making those victories even sweeter and more valuable. That's exactly what is happening in Bitcoin land with the halving event. So here's the scoop. In 2024, Bitcoin is hitting one of its built-in milestones, where the reward for mining a new block is about to get sliced in half again. Think of it as the gene doubling the weight on every machine overnight. If miners were pulling in 6.25 Bitcoins for every block they cracked, post-halving they will be grinding away for a mere 3.125 Bitcoins per block. Why this is happening? Bitcoin's design includes this halving event about every 4 years to make sure that the total supply doesn't rush out the door too fast, keeping inflation in check and making each Bitcoin more valuable over time. It's like making sure there's enough protein powder to go around for everyone hitting the gym hard, without flooding the market and devaluing that muscle gold. This 2024 halving is a big deal because it's a reminder of Bitcoin's scarcity. There's a cap on how much Bitcoin is out there, just like there's a limit to how much muscle you can realistic pack on. Keeps everyone on their toes, knowing that the rewards for mining will keep getting halved until we hit that magic 21 million Bitcoin cap. So as we approach this 2024 Bitcoin halving, think of it as stepping up your fitness game. The rewards for the effort are about to become rarer, making every Bitcoin you mine, hold, or earn them much more valuable. It's a testament to the dedication of the Bitcoin community, mirroring the sweet equity we all put into our personal gains. So halving is not just a pivotal moment for miners, it's a beacon for all of us in the crypto space, reminding us that in the world of Bitcoin, just like in fitness, the grind pays off and the rare victories are the sweetest. Alright, let's talk about if you should invest in Bitcoin. Every time we have seen Bitcoin go through a halving, it's a value shot up like a rocket. Everybody is betting on this train holding up. But here's the quicker. I reckon a hefty chunk of the crowd doesn't really get the core of what Bitcoin is all about. So let's get this straight. Bitcoin isn't just some playground for your cash-like stocks. It's a whole new breed of currency and a rock-solid payment system. And get this, it's got more trustworthiness in its digital bonds than any currency out there, even with the governments backing their own play money. Let's take a stroll down memory lane with dollars as our tour guide. Cast your minds back to the Bretton Woods Agreement, setting the stage for currencies to dance with gold. Picture the dollar as a golden ticket, a promise that you could snag some gold anytime. This whole setup had the US dollar strutting around as the big cheese, linked to gold while other currencies played follow the leader. But then, plot twist, between 1968 and 1973, Nixon hits the scene, calling a timeout on converting dollars to gold, and just like that, the music stopped and currencies started doing their own thing. Fast forward, and here we are, putting all our faith in the government's invisible hand that controls the money printer, devaluating our cash on a whim. The more they print, the less your dollar buys, a nasty magic trick called inflation. And the worst part, this freshly minted cash gets a VIP tour of the economy, benefiting a select few before it trickles down to us. Value deflated. This economy is sleight of hand is known as the Cantillon effect. Armed with that knowledge, you are starting to see the picture. Bitcoin stands tall as the champion against government-controlled inflation games, with a fortress of rules ensuring its value isn't at the mercy of a few keystrokes. While government money leans on a wing and a prayer, Bitcoin's value is as solid as a vault, backed by ironclad security protocols. Sure, you haven't seen the headlines of crypto heists, but let's clear the air. We're talking about the Bitcoin blockchain, an untouchable bastion of security, not the digital wallets and exchanges that got their lunch money stolen. Always stash your Bitcoin in a Fort Knox like a wallet, steering clear of those dodgy crypto brokers. And if you are wondering why, with all its bells and whistles, Bitcoin's price swings like a pendulum on a caffeine high, it's all about perception. The crowd is still warming up to seeing Bitcoin as real money, not just a speculative roller coaster. But here's where the tide turns. As Bitcoin's true nature clicks and more folks jump on board, we'll see those wild price swings start to mellow out. It's all about spreading the love. And by love, I mean Bitcoin. The more hands on deck, the steadier the ship. Market whales might make waves, but once Bitcoin becomes everyone's go-to, their sell-offs will be but at a drop in the ocean, with a frenzy of buyers ready to fill the gap. Here's the deal. Diving into Bitcoin isn't for the faint of heart. It's complex, with risks and rewards in equal measure. And with no government middleman, you are the captain of your own ship. Watch out for those crypto sirens, luring sailors with tales of riches. Not all that glitters is gold. Bitcoin is my North Star. Not so sold on Ethereum though. It's not about trust issues, but with Vitalik Buterin at the helm, it's a different voyage. Bitcoin and its leaderless rebellion, it's a beacon of freedom out of reach from government clutches. So, if you are dreaming of overnight Bitcoin fortunes, brace for a reality check. But for those playing the long game, Bitcoin's principles lay the groundwork for a future where its value knows no bounds, riding the ups and downs like a seasoned surfer. So, feels like we have taken a detour, huh? I ain't thinking of rolling out a sequel, diving into the quirks of the money system and giving a shout out to the Austrian school. Those cats don't buy into the whole money printing circus. Drop your thoughts below and let's keep this conversation going.